Learning Python, episode 3. And in this episode, we're going to learn what are variables. In the last episode, we set up an IDE, we set up Visual Studio, and we just set up Python on there. Okay, so we're going to do 3 things in this video. We're going to learn what are variables, different types of variables, and creating variables in Python. Alright, so first, what are variables? A variable, you can think of it as a container, and this container can contain a value. So in this little image right here, you see age, and you give it a value. You can also do this for words, or you can have a list of variables if you really wanted to. Okay, so now we're going to learn about different types of variables. So I'm going to say 4 types of variables. There are actually many more types of variables like dictionaries and sets, but we don't need to know that right now. So first we have lists. Lists are just a collection of variables, and this collection can contain different types of variables. Integers, this is a variable stored as a singular digit like 1, 2, 3, -5, anything like that. And a string, it's just a variable that holds text. And floats are just variables that have a decimal place. That's all we really need to know about variables right now. So now we're actually going to start coding in Python and create some variables. So now I'm in Visual Studio Code. We downloaded last episode, and if you don't have it downloaded, you can go to the previous episode and download it and get it set up for Python. So here I am in our little folder that we made last episode. I have our main.py. If you don't remember how to make a file, press new file, then the name of your file always has to end in .py, but you can name the main part whatever you want. So let's create a variable. So we're going to create a variable, we're going to name it x. And then we're going to set it equal to, so you're going to type in an equal sign, and then put 0. So x is equal to 0. So I'm going to put a hashtag here. This essentially indicates that you're making a comment. It doesn't affect the code at all. You can just type in, what the code is doing. So this is going to be an integer. So x is equal to 0. This is an integer. Y, another one called y. We're going to set the equal to 0.1. And you can probably guess this is going to be a float. And let's make another one called z, okay? And what this is going to be, we're going to put in 2 quotation marks. I'm going to type in string. And this is a string. And now what we're going to do here is we're going to print all of them. We're going to type in print, and then 2 parentheses. And in between those parentheses, we're going to type in x. Okay, now we're going to press enter. We're going to put another print statement in, put y, and then we're going to do the same for z. And we're going to press Ctrl S to save. We're going to go to the top right here and click on run code. And you can see it runs, and it prints everything at 0, 0.1, and string. Now, how about a list? So let's delete that with all our print statements, and we're gonna create something called, let's just say, variables. Press enter as usual, and now we're gonna do 2 brackets, not parentheses, brackets. And in those, you can type in essentially, anything. You can type in 0, 12. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna store our x, y, and z variables. So x and z, and that's a list. And now let's print our variables. So print, between those parentheses, we can put in variables. And now let's run our code. And you can see, it works. And your list can also be something else. It can be let's create another one called other list. And it can be filled with maybe some numbers, like name, 12, 18, 2.0. And you can see it can hold essentially any values you want for a list. So that's essentially all the data types you need to know for getting started with variables. So I have a little exercise for you now. It can be create a float, a string, a integer, and put them all into a list, and then print it out. So you can pause the video here and try it yourself, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I hope you're done now. So let's do it. So let's create a float. So we're going to call it x equal to 0.01. And let's create y, which is going to be a string. We'll just call it hello. And z, which is going to be an integer. So we'll do 29. And now let's put them all into a list. So we'll put let's create something called, I. Let's just do I. And then I'm going to put I equal to our 2 brackets. And in between those brackets, I'm going to do x, y, z. That's going to be our list right there. So now we're going to go down here, press enter, then print I. Press Ctrl S to save, and then go to top right, run code. You can see it works. So that's going to be it for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to learn about more advanced types of Python functions, and we're going to actually create our new first project. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.